Do you want to poop like a god or goddess? Get rid of bloat, lose weight, and reduce your risk of severe chronic medical problems? Stick around to uncover the key to ruling the toilet every day. I'm Corey Applin, and we're diving into a topic that is so fundamental to our health, simple and easy to do, but often overlooked. And you hear this term, nature's Ozempic, flying around the internet all the time now. Everyone's talking about, oh, this is nature's Ozempic, that's nature's Ozempic. But this thing we're going to talk about today actually is nature's Ozempic. We are diving into the world of fiber. What the heck is it? What does it do? Why do you need it? And how to use it to your advantage to improve your health. But first, what exactly is fiber? Well, dietary fiber is a type of carbohydrate. And you might be thinking, like, carbohydrate, that's like pastas, breads, pastries, all those things. Carbohydrates convert to sugar. Well, fiber is a type of carbohydrate that your body can't digest. So unlike other carbs that are broken down into sugar molecules, fiber passes through the body undigested. And this process is crucial because it helps regulate the body's use of sugars. It does that by slowing down digestion. Which prevents blood sugar level spikes, just like Ozempic, by increasing a feeling of fullness longer to keep hunger in check, just like Ozempic. And it actually activates more production of GLP-1, which is the hormone that Ozempic mimics. Now, that's about where the similarities end, because fiber is amazing for gut health. It's prebiotic, meaning it's the food for all the good gut bacteria, the things that make your body function. While Ozempic, on the other hand, this weight loss drug can cause nausea, vomiting, gastric paralysis, and a number of other health problems. I personally gravitate more towards natural things that help my body instead of things that fight it and work against it. Now, with fiber, there's two types. We have soluble and insoluble. Soluble fiber dissolves in water to form a gel-like substance. This is what helps slow digestion and helps lower blood sugar levels and helps lower blood cholesterol. Insoluble fiber, on the other hand, adds bulk to the stool. This is what softens it and helps push everything through the digestive system so you don't get constipated. Now, what's crazy is 95% of Americans are deficient in fiber. You heard that right, 95%. I don't think there's any other deficiency that's even possible to be more than that. 95% are deficient in fiber, possibly because they don't know how important it is. But according to the American Heart Association, the average American only gets 10 to 15 grams of fiber per day. And we'll get into what's normal here in a minute. But the question is, why are people not getting enough fiber? Well, it's from the prevalence of processed and fast foods that's essentially become the typical American diet. And again, processed carbohydrates are totally stripped of fiber. I talked about that in the last episode. So you get the carbohydrate that converts to sugar, but not the fiber that slows digestion and prevents the blood sugar level spikes. So what's going to happen if you're getting the sugar, blood sugar level spikes, you don't have the fiber to slow it down, and it eventually leads to things like insulin resistance, diabetes, heart problems, PCOS, mood disorders, and a number of other conditions that I covered in the last episode. So keep this in mind. Sugar in nature is always wrapped in fiber. Always. So it's an unnatural food if it's been stripped of the fiber. And how do we know how to get enough fiber? Well, we focus on eating whole foods that still have the fiber intact, primarily fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and legumes. But since people are on the go, We're just always eating what's convenient. It's pretty easy to miss or not pay enough attention to getting enough fiber. One of the most common problems associated with not getting enough fiber is constipation. Because fiber adds that bulk to the stool, helps everything pass through. So without enough fiber, it gets stuck, it gets dry, it gets hard, you get bloated, you feel like crap. Going to the bathroom is our body's waste removal system. So when you're not going properly, what happens to it? What happens to the waste? It just builds up. Toxins build up, can cause a lot of other health problems. Can also lead to a lot of digestive issues like inflammation in the intestinal lining, diverticulitis, potentially colon cancer. There's a link between not enough fiber and colon cancer. Really, I would say the most problematic part is its link to insulin resistance. Like when you don't have enough fiber to slow sugar and carb metabolism, blood sugar levels rise out of control, right? We develop insulin resistance, the precursor to type 2 diabetes and a number of other really bad chronic health problems. But how much fiber do we need? What would be adequate? Well, there's a standard out there. Again, 95% of people aren't getting enough. Most Americans are only getting 10 to 15 grams. The minimum standard for women is right around 25 grams per day. And for men, that goes up to 35 grams. These numbers can vary slightly. It's going to be based on age and a number of other factors. But considering most people are like way deficient, this is like a really good starting point. It's going to provide a really good guideline. I mean, there's evidence out there that hunters and gatherers were consuming much, much more, potentially like 100 grams of fiber per day. So don't think that these numbers like 25 grams, 35 grams are like wild or outrageous. There's good evidence that historically humans were eating much more. I always make note of this when I talk about fiber. Drink enough water if you're eating fiber. Fiber minus water is constipation. You still can have constipation even when eating enough fiber if you're not hydrated properly. Fiber plus water, that's what's going to help move everything through your system. So please make sure you're drinking adequate amounts of water throughout the day. When I think of benefits to fiber, I kind of block it up. Like, what are the short-term benefits versus the long-term benefits? And in the short term, number one, it's regularity in having healthy bowel movements. The second short-term benefit is slowing down digestion, which allows more time for nutrients to get absorbed. We actually get more bang for our buck in terms of nutrient density when we're eating fiber, because by slowing everything down, it gives our body more time to digest and absorb the nutrients that are in our food. So that's going to have a lot of health benefits, just maximizing the number of nutrients that you're getting. But long-term, this is where the real benefits come in. Long-term is it slows sugar absorption, which is especially beneficial in preventing or reversing insulin resistance or diabetes, lowering cholesterol, and even reducing the risk of heart attack or stroke. Now, here's a little fun fact. Up to 10% of heart attacks occur while straining on the toilet. So don't strain. If you're straining, make sure you're getting enough fiber, getting enough water, that everything moves nice and easy. It could literally save you from having a heart attack. It also lowers the risk of colorectal cancer, which affects about 1 in 25 people. That's a huge number, 1 in 25. So where can we find fiber? Excellent sources are fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds. Some really specific examples would be apples, bananas, oranges, berries, carrots, broccolis, brown rice, oatmeal, beans, lentils, almonds, and chia seeds. Each of these foods is going to provide like a different mix of soluble and insoluble fiber. So it's going to be really beneficial to include a variety in your diet. You'll see some sources out there say you should be getting like about a 2-to-1 ratio insoluble to soluble fiber. For most people, just don't freaking worry about it. If you're not eating enough fiber, just eating some fiber, regardless, soluble, insoluble, it's going to be better for you. So, if you're eating a good mix of fruits and vegetables, you probably don't need to worry about the ratio. And I'll also note here, fiber supplements are totally acceptable. That's totally fine. If you need help getting more fiber in your diet, it's that important. Take a fiber supplement. Take it once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day. Like, it's that important to get enough fiber in your system. My personal favorites are psyllium husk and apple pectin, but listen to your body. If there's another type that works well for you, that's totally fine. And especially if you're not used to getting enough fiber in the beginning, you might get some bloatedness, indigestion. You might get some uncomfortable feelings, because when you're introducing fiber, you're going to change your gut microbiome. Some bacteria is going to grow more, some bacteria is going to die off. And during that process, you might not feel great. Totally normal. So don't give up on a fiber after like 1 or 2 days of taking it, especially if you know it's like good quality, you've been recommended to take it. But if you've gone like 4, 5, 6, 7 days and it's still not feeling good, try a different fiber source. Food first, you're going to have much less of that typically if you're getting it directly from your food than if you're taking a fiber supplement. But again, this is a process about finding what works well for your body to make sure you're getting those maximum benefits. And especially if you're not used to getting enough fiber, you might be asking yourself, like, where the heck do I even start? So here's some tips to get things moving in the right direction. Step 1, drink adequate amounts of water. So why do I preface that before the fiber? Because I cannot stress enough, fiber without hydration can just make the problem worse. For hydration, personally, I go with the rule of half your body weight in ounces. So for a 200-pound person, they'd want to drink 100 ounces of water per day. That's a really good starting point. And then you can adjust up or down from there, depending on how your body feels. It's normal if you're not used to drinking enough water. It's normal to have to pee a lot in the beginning, but your body does adjust. Like, you got to stick with it a couple weeks or so before that urinary frequency goes down. But that's step number 1. Focus on water first. Step 2, check the fiber content of your favorite fruits and vegetables. It's so easy these days, guys. It used to be so hard actually figuring out how much fiber is in things. There are a bazillion free apps out there where you just plug in what it is. Some of these things even have labels or like scanners where you can scan like a specific product to get the amount of fiber in it. But, even if you just want kind of like general, it's going to ask you like, oh, what size is this apple? What size is this orange? You can just plug it in. It's going to give you a really close approximation of how much fiber is in it. So start with your favorite fruit and vegetable, because it's totally okay to start with just one of each, and start with half your recommended dietary intake. Remember, again, that's 25 grams for women, 35 for men. Start with half that. So that means you may only be adding fiber in for 1 or 2 meals a day. Preferably eat it at the beginning of a meal for maximum benefits. When you eat it at the beginning of the meal, it's going to slow the absorption and conversion of carbohydrates into sugar. So it's going to slow that down, limit those big spikes in blood sugar levels, which helps to keep insulin sensitive. Again, listen to your body for bloat or discomfort. It's normal. Like, if you're making these adjustments, your microbiome will adjust. So if you're feeling uncomfortable and you're at half the recommended amount, stay there for as long as you need to until you start to feel really comfortable there. Your bowel movement frequency is really, really good. Step 3 would be to start to increase. If you get to that point where you're not feeling any discomfort and you've gone 3, 4, 5 days without any discomfort, slowly increase your intake up to the recommended amount by adding 1 more serving of vegetables or fruits per day until you hit that number. Now, you might be asking yourself, like, why have I not recommended whole grains or nuts right now in the beginning? It's because whole grains can still raise blood sugar levels, much less because whole grains do have fiber in them. It's unlike white rice, white pasta, white breads, those types of things, which get converted to sugar very quickly and spike blood sugar levels. There is some fiber in whole grains, but because there's still other carbohydrates that do get converted to sugar, it still does have an impact on blood sugar levels. So at least in the beginning, it's really good to just give your body a little bit of a break from sugar. And then for nuts can be really difficult to digest for some people. So I really recommend typically adding those in even slower and in smaller quantities to really listen to your body and see how it responds to it before increasing the amounts. At the end of the day, fiber can have profound effects on your health. I mean, really profound effects. And it really isn't something to be overlooked, but too many people are. So hopefully, by listening to this, following these steps, you'll feel like you can take control of this, feel like kings and queens in the bathroom again. And, honestly, it certainly doesn't hurt when you look in the mirror and, tummy bloat is gone. You're just feeling a lot better. So thanks for joining me today. Stay healthy out there, and I'll catch you on the next one.